Welcome back to the shop, guys. This week on the channel, we're gonna build a really cool, super simple dining room table. So stick around. I'm Stoner Erickson from Erickson Design Company, and let's build something. Ta-da! Some of your woodworking projects over time really become a part of the family. Now, I built this really cool large dining room table. It's a farmhouse style table. It's 8 feet long, and I built it for a Thanksgiving about 3 or 4 years ago. It seats 10 people, which is freaking awesome, but we're moving soon, so I want to use up some of the scrap wood in the shop, and I also want it to go to a good home, just like you would an animal or a child for a sleepover, by the way. Now, if you remember the Minecraft axe, I built that for Mason, Ashley's son. Now, he's an awesome dude, she's a wonderful woman, and she's grateful enough to take this large table off our hands, and all know that it's going to a good home. So, let's get into it. In efforts to use up my scrap wood before we move, I'm just going to pull some pieces out of there. I have a 3/4 inch top, and I'm going to take this 1/2 inch plywood, I'm going to cut it down to 3-inch strips, and that way I'm kind of make a little box for the bottom of the table. I'll kind of go ahead and lay it out here of what I think it is, and then I'm going to measure 3 inches in on each side, and then I'm going to cut my strips to fit that appropriately. Then I'll start assembling it like a drawer kind of, with 2 center guide rails. I'll use brad nails and glue to hold it in place, and then I'll come back with 1¼ inch screws. I'll pre-drill those so they're ready to go. I did forget to put a Craig jig in there, so that's what will hold the tabletop down to the actual frame. I built this really cool Craig jig station. It's on the slide out drawers. It's always prepped, always ready to go. So I'm going to take the frame that I've already pre-built, and I'm just going to kind of saddle it down over top of it and make sure I get 2 or 3 Craig jigs in each one, again, to hold the top of the table down to the frame. I'm trying to build this as fast as I can, so maybe I can get some golf in later this afternoon. So the Craig jig is the fastest, most secure joinery that's out there. I'll go ahead and measure and cut the center bracing for the tabletop frame. One of the things I like about this little Craig jig station that I have set up is that I actually have all the supplies underneath the Craig jig station. All the screws and brackets and every single thing you would need to the Craig jig stays right in this area. I think that's pretty dang cool. All right, now that we've got the frame basically built, I've made a little spots where I can set it back in square, and it'll find a square spot. I'll blow it off. And I'm not going to glue this up. I'm just going to let the actual frame float in there and let the pocket holes actually hold the table, hold the rail to the tabletop. You can see that little frame I built. Now I know exactly where it is. I'll grab my pocket hole screws, push down, and we're solid. So that's just a simple framing structure that we're going to do for our tabletop. Let's keep cruising. Right now we're actually cruising. If you like fun and creative videos like this, hit that subscribe button. Do it, and do it now. Plus, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I'll totally comment back. Next, we're going to move over to the legs. I have this 2x12. It's been loose in the shop for a little bit, so I want to make 1½ by 1½ inch table legs out of it. So I'm just going to rough cut it down with a jigsaw. I'm going to run it over the joiner and joint one edge, and then I'm going to cut myself 4 strips at 1½ by 1½. I'll do the classic check to make sure they're not wonky, and they look pretty dang good. Next, I'm going to move over to the chop saw. I'm going to fold one of the wing outs up. I actually have a guide or a stop on there with a tape, so that way I can set the height of this. Now, a regular table height is about 30 to 30½, so I'm going to cut these around 30. I have a 3/4 inch top. That'll be 30 3/4. I am kind of tall, so I'll have my knees will be able to get underneath the table. This guarantees the legs will be all the same size based off the stop block on my fence. Okay, so we've got the legs cut. Again, this is just the simplest table we can make to replace our old table so that we have something we can do our work on and eat at for the next couple weeks before we move into the house. So I'm just going to take some of the Titebond Quick Set glue, put these in the corner, hold a speed square to them, make sure they're straight, and then I'm gonna brad nail them in, screw them in, and then I'm gonna make a little brace from behind. So let's keep cruising. It's actually kind of funny to me building this table because when we first moved in this house, I actually took 2 sawhorses and some plywood and set up a makeshift table with a sheet over it, and nobody knew that it wasn't a real table. So make do with what you have. Okay, now back over at the chop saw, I'm going to take my little extra pieces here and I'm going to mark the bottoms, make a little corner brace. We probably should clean up a little bit. We're going so fast. And you see that fits right down in there to help hold that snug. So I'll grab the nail gun and some glue and I'll just get these in place. A little glue on each side, a little glue down the stripe, the saddle of the back. I'll go tight in the corner, holding tight. Going backwards there. There it is, real tight. And I'll come into it this way, into it that way, and then into it that way. This brad nail gun that I have sucks. I need to get a better one. Some of the brad nails didn't stick, so I'm actually going to run back through and make sure that I put screws in everything before I attach these little cross braces. So if anyone out there can suggest a good brad nail or a pin nailer, the ones I seem to buy from Lowe's or Home Depot, they seem to gum up or they seem to jam up. I freaking hate it. I hate it so bad. So put something in the comments and suggest. I'd like to hear from you guys about what brad nailer would be best for my shop. There you have it. That is the most basic form of making a table that you'll ever find out there. If you make one of these, this is just a makeshift table for us while we move and to have at the house. So it's just what I had in the shop. If you make one of these, tag me in it on Instagram. I would love to see that. Also, check out my TikTok. I'm having way more fun making TikToks than I am Instagram. So I'm gonna move this bad boy outside to finish it. I'm gonna do a light sand all the way around, and then I'm gonna putty all my nail holes and my screw holes. Then I'm gonna grab my quarter round over bit and I'm gonna round over both sides of the table. This will make it look like a table you got from Walmart or IKEA, and then I'll sand the top as well. Next, I'm gonna tape off the underside of the table and I'm going to spray it with white spray paint. Now this is a high gloss white spray paint. I wonder if some of you subscribers remember when I did that farmhouse table with the spray gun and I got oil-based paint all over my truck. Some of that paint's still on my truck. A few subscribers gave me some tips to get it off. I just haven't had time to do that. I'll go ahead and remove the tape, and then I'm going to use a Minwax Poly Shade. It's a stain and polyurethane combination in one. Now I actually don't really like using these because I can never seem to get it mixed up well enough. Even if I mix it for like 20 minutes, it just doesn't seem to go on the right way. I would prefer just using a stain and polyurethane. I do want to use up some of the stuff in the shop, so I'll make it work the best I can. And I think it came out absolutely gorgeous. You guys tell me what you think. Definitely not as big as the farmhouse table, but I think this is exactly what she asked me to do. It's exactly what we need. We can have our dinner at these tables. We can do our editing and work on our computers. My wife's an awesome photographer, so she does a lot of editing on her computer here. I do my YouTube videos here. This is my chair. This is an office chair. It's really comfortable because I do sit at that chair for quite a bit of time sometimes. And this is her chair. It's a comfortable chair. It's actually a chair I found on the side of the road and I fixed the leg. It was broken. There's a video of that right here. But I think this is a really cool project. Don't go out and buy stuff if you can make it. It took me 37 minutes to make this freaking thing. It took me longer to paint it than it did to actually build it. Now I was going a little fast. I was cruising. I'm not trying to sell this. It's just a functional thing that looks good in our house. So for the next 2 weeks before we move, we don't have that giant table we have to move around. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this with someone you think will like it. And I'm Stoner Erickson from Erickson Design Company, and we built something. Ta-da!